Welcome to Work Comp Talk, a podcast dedicated to all of the injured workers here in the state of California. My name is Carmen, your host, and joining me today is my co-host, Bilal Qasim, managing attorney for Pacific Workers, the lawyers for injured workers, who also happen to be our sponsors. If you have yet to subscribe to our channel, make sure you do so now and hit the bell notification so you get notified every time we have new content for you. Speaking about new content, today's topic. There is a word that is mentioned a lot throughout the workers' compensation claims, or there is a couple of words, more than one. It's the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board. It comes up a lot in a workers' compensation claim. However, a lot of people, one, don't know what it is, don't know what to do with it, or what to expect from it, what it looks like, what it tastes like. I'm just kidding. But essentially, a lot of people don't even know what the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board is. So today we're going to talk specifically that. What is the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board? Or the short phrase is WCAB. What is it? Why do you need it? What is it for?
So the Work Comp Appeals Board is kind of its own court system, basically. It's not part of the Superior Court. It's not part of the criminal court, not part of the civil court. It's just its own administrative court, and there's administrative law judges that preside over all of the appeals boards.
So if I were to go to the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board, is there one in every city? Like, what does this look like?
There's several throughout the state. They're in major geographic areas serving the general public in those regions.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's up to you and where you live and which board you're assigned to. The court that you're assigned to is largely either based on where you're located or if you have an attorney representing you, where they are located.
Would this be, we're headquartered here in the city of Oakland. Would this be similar to me walking into the Oakland courtroom?
Sort of. I mean, I think a lot of people have this perception of what the appeals board actually is. And it's much different than what you'd see in like a jury trial, right? There's no juries for one.
Okay.
There's no bailiff, there's no highway patrol guy carrying a gun or anything like that. It's kind of informal. In fact, most of the time, you don't even go to court now, not even in person. It's over teleconference for the most part.
And was this just because of COVID? Is it going to go back to in person, do you think?
Probably not. Right now it's a hybrid format. There's certain types of hearings, expedited hearings and trials that are actually held in person. There's also other types of hearings they call mandatory settlement conferences or status conferences and such that are now virtual hearings over the phone.
So you mentioned a couple of keywords, the mandatory settlement conference and then all these other trials that happen. This is who handles those types of events within a workers' comp claim. So the Workers' Comp Appeals Board is where you fix those issues or deal with those trials.
Yeah, it's if you have a dispute regarding workers' compensation, it goes to the appeals board.
Interesting.
And that's anything and everything related to workers' benefits for workers' compensation is at the Workers' Comp Appeals Board.
Interesting. So this is why it comes up a lot within a workers' compensation claim, because I feel like a lot of clients, or in this case, injured workers, could essentially believe that the workers' comp claim is something kind of like in the lines of Medi-Cal. You have the buildings for Medi-Cal, you're hurt, you go to your doctor, and that's about it. But in this case, this is a little bit different. It actually has a big part in a workers' comp claim, not necessarily just...
No, yeah, the appeals board, the judges there, they are the ones that decide all the issues in a workers' comp case. There's other parties that are involved in work comp cases. If it's, for example, the doctors involved, or chiropractors, there's the physical therapists, there's attorneys, there's copy service folks, there's all these other parties involved in it, but it's where everything happens is the appeals board. They're the end all be all. You can go higher than the appeals board. If you have an appeal and you don't like the decision, you can go to the California Court of Appeal, but generally everything stays at the board.
Interesting. So then you say this is not a place where you're going to find like a jury. So this isn't your typical courtroom per se. It's more of a building that you actually get to go to, but you don't go to anymore because now it's hybrid, meaning you get to do it from the comfort of your home.
Yeah, I mean, there's still courtrooms. It's just, instead of a box with a panel of 12 jurors in it, it's usually just the attorneys and the judge sitting there. And there'll be a court reporter if it's a proceeding where there's evidence being entered. And you need to make a record of what was said and done that hearing. But yeah, it's still in the state building. It's still court. There's still judges that are there that serve full-time hearing workers' comp cases. And yeah, most of the time though we are telephonic now, unless it needs to be evidentiary hearing, like a trial where you have exhibits, you have witnesses and stuff, and it's. I mean, I've done virtual trials too, but it's just sometimes it's easier in person. It just depends on the circumstances.
They just need to see those facial expressions in real life. I'm just kidding. Question. So you're going to this workers' compensation appeals board. What do you wear when you're doing it over teleconference? Like you're doing it on the computer. Do you still have to dress up? Can you do it in a t-shirt? Do they care about that? What does that look like nowadays?
It depends if you're an attorney or you're an individual who's not an attorney. Attorneys, I think, generally always wear suits, even if it's on camera. If you're on the phone, it depends. No one's obviously can see you. It doesn't really matter. If you're dressing professional for your day, whatever that may bring, you're probably not in a t-shirt, I guess. But,
right.
There's no dress code on the phone. But, absolutely, if you're on camera, you're doing a video hearing with the judge, you absolutely need to give them the respect that's due, whether or not you're there in person or, on camera. You still act the part and play the part. So, at least for attorneys, we still have to present ourselves in that way. Whether or not you need to dress up as a witness or, an injured worker, I don't know. I don't think it matters all that much. You should be fully clothed.
Of course.
But, no one's going to fault you because you don't look, you're not wearing your Sunday best when you're injured. You don't have money coming in, like you have limited means, like you're there in the first place. I think it's, yeah.
As long as you use any filters. Remember that one video that came out? There was an attorney who actually had a cat face back in the days when Zoom was doing all those little filters and he couldn't get rid of it and the judge was upset. So you definitely don't want to fidget with anything, any technology. You want to make sure you're in a quiet area, I'm assuming. You want to make sure you are at your most presentable because, again, sometimes they do treat you how they see you. So
yeah. Yeah, I think it's just, you want to present your best for sure. I would say if you're in a circumstance where there's a trial regarding some disputed fact, where it's your word against someone else's, I think it matters to present yourself in the best light possible, which means, maybe you want to look like you're put together and a credible person. If you look like you're not a credible person, maybe the judge isn't going to believe you, and so you don't want to do anything that would harm your chances at winning. And certainly, if you're not put together, people judge people by their appearances, whether we like it or not, and I think in that sense, maybe it matters. But ultimately, if you have a lawyer, they'll tell you that, if you're at that point in a case where you are going to court and your appearance matters, someone will say something.
At what point during a workers' comp claim do you even interfere with the workers' comp appeals board, or do you connect with them? Like, what stage does that come in?
So the judge can get involved in the case at almost any time. Generally, the board and the judges there will want to see that you've tried to informally work out whatever issue it is that you have in your case before going to the court. But, you could have court appearances throughout the case. You can have one appearance or multiple cases or multiple appearances. It just depends on the types of issues that are coming up in your case. Is
there ever a time where you're not even going to deal or hear from the workers' comp appeals board? You don't ever have to show up? Is that a thing?
Maybe. It depends on the case.
Easy cases, maybe the ones that are like...
Yeah, I mean, if there's a straightforward case where, someone's injured, they're getting their benefits are paid at the right rate, they've got their medical evaluators involved, the AMEs, the QMEs, whoever it is, no one disagrees about treatment or benefits or permanent disability or things like that, work restrictions, then yeah, you could conceivably have a case that the court never really touches, except for the fact that, judges are required to review settlements at the end of a case, and they have to approve everything. So, judges look at the settlements to make sure they're adequate, to ensure that the injured workers' interests are being protected. And that might be the only time the judge actually, kind of sees a case, so to speak.
Interesting. Well, it's good to know that we get a little bit of an insight of what the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board is, what it looks like, what to expect from it. Is there anything else we need to share in regards to the WCAB?
I don't know. Probably not. If you have questions, though, let me know. I'm always happy to talk.
Definitely drop them down in our comments below, and we'll be more than happy to answer those for you in our segment Ask Below, or who knows, we might just bring it up in another topic as well. So thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys on another episode of Work Comp Talk.